I'm going to relate a extraordinarily embarrassing moment that Truman Capote related to us many years ago in New York. And this entails 3 degrees of separation. Truman Capote had a friend who was a theatrical agent. And this theatrical agent had a nephew who he had gotten a job for as a publicist for a Broadway show. And the uncle, the theatrical agent, visited his nephew, and in his little cubicle of an office saw that he had plastered the entire wall with pictures of a model that was in many ads, Chanel ads, very high-end ads. And the uncle asked his nephew, "What's with this?" And the nephew says, "Well, this is all sort of silly, but I'm in love with her. I've never met her. First time I saw her picture, it just hit me, and whenever I see an ad that she's in, I clip it out and put it on my wall." And the uncle said, "Well, I happen to know her agent, and I believe I may be able to get you an introduction." And the nephew said, "I am quivering. If you could do that, I would be the happiest person in the world." And he said, "I'll talk to her agent." And he called up his nephew a couple of days later, and he said, "She's expecting your phone call, and here's her number." He calls her. She says, "Oh, I can't wait to see you. You've been built up so much. You sound like a marvelous person. Let's get together." Saturday night. And he plans out this extraordinary evening. He was going to pick her up. They're going to go to some fancy restaurant in town like Lutece, then go to a very hot show that he got tickets for on Broadway. And then the way he planned it, afterwards they might walk up to the Plaza Hotel and have a drink at the Oak Bar. And then if things were going well, he was going to take one of those coach rides through the park. Saturday night arrives, and she lived in one of these Gothic-like apartment buildings on Central Park West. Gets out, the doorman says, "Oh yes, you're expected." And he is pulsating. He gets into the elevator, and it's one of these elevators that open up into the apartment. This young lady was making a lot of money. As the door opens into the apartment, this maid comes rushing out, and she says, "Oh, Madame is very late. She'll be about 10 minutes. Go into the living room, make a drink. She'll be right with you." Walks into the living room, starts making a drink. It's a long living room. It's a spring night. The curtains are flowing through the floor-to-ceiling windows over the park. And from the other end of the room, he hears this. He looks over, and there is a brindle-colored Great Dane with a dog with a ball in its mouth wagging its tail. "Come on over, boy." The dog bounds across the room. He picks up the ball and throws it across the room. The ball goes out the window, and the dog follows the ball out the window. As the tail disappears, the vision of loveliness enters the room. He says, "Oh, I've been looking forward to this. I've been so busy. I haven't been out in months. Let's go. I know I'm a little late." He is speechless. He doesn't know what to say. His stomach is twirling. He turns ashen. They get in the cab. As they go off to the restaurant, she says, "Did you notice my dog? I hope you noticed him, because that dog is my best friend in the whole world. If I didn't have that dog, my father never would have let me come to New York to try to get into modeling in the theater." Now he's ready to vomit. He is really, really sick. They show up at the restaurant. They have a wonderful meal. She's very bubbly, very chatty, very engaging, trying to get him involved, and he's voiceless. He's speechless. He cannot talk. He's ashen. They finish their dinner. They go to the theater, and she's still very, very talkative. They watch this great play. During intermission, she continues to be very upbeat, and he is so sick to his stomach he's unable to say anything. the end of the theater, at the end of the play, they're walking out in the street, crowded, and she says, you know, this just isn't working out. It's just one of those things, the chemistry's not right. Why don't I just get a cab and head home? And there she goes. And he walks through the streets of Manhattan thinking that life isn't fair. And why did this happen to me? And he walks till 3 in the morning, and he finally gets home, and he can't sleep. Gets up, and he washes a Valium down with a very brown scotch, and it still doesn't work. And he finally, at 3 in the morning, calls his uncle and relates the entire tale. And he says to his uncle, what would you have done? And the uncle said, well, when you got in the cab and she asked if you noticed her dog, I would have said, yes, I did, and he was looking very depressed.